Do it. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome in. You are late. I've been officially talking to the TikTok army. But hope you're all doing well. Welcome into the show. Again, as always, we are going to be breaking down what is going on in the market, specifically paying attention tonight to the 4-year cycle, because there is a decision that a lot of people, I believe, need to make right now, which is if you believe in a 5-year cycle, you're golden. The best is yet to come. If you don't, then you certainly should already have put some positions into stablecoin. If you haven't, then you can kind of almost get a little bit like, well, I'm just going to send it and see what happens. But my answer, Axe 2.1, is yes. Yes, we are. Just my opinion, okay? Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I just look at things and try and be objective. And maybe I'm too late. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. We'll talk about it in tonight's live stream as always, and getting into kind of the reality of it and really sort of trying to understand what the heck is going on, because we've sort of gone from it's all fine to holy shit, I need to sell my entire portfolio and get the hell out of this market in the space of about a week. But there is a little bit more at play that we need to sort of discuss. And again, we'll sort of start to get into a couple of other bits and pieces as we potentially sort of walk through this market. But as always, if you're brand new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you didn't catch my couple of videos that I put out earlier on, one was specifically about Bitcoin and the potential of could we see a rally in 2025 or not? If you haven't watched that, go and watch it. I actually think it's a pretty good video. I also did a little bit around XRP and the potential of what those ETFs are going to drive. If you're interested in XRP, go and check that content out as well. And yeah, here we are on tonight's live stream to talk all about 4-year cycles, 5-year cycles, whatever you want to talk about, understand, and everything else. We're going to get into it. But first and foremost, we're going to do a little bit of technicals and try and get a sentiment, a sense even, should we say, of what is going on. And I guess probably worthwhile, which I never thought we'd be doing now, worthwhile probably going, okay, well, let's see what the potential price targets are. The only thing that I didn't mention, by the way, which, I mean, it probably feels in bad taste, actually, but I think what is fair to say is, if this truly is the bear market, which I think it's arguably the end of the bull run, and we've definitely seen it, I wasn't fucking far off, was I? I wasn't far off. I said the end of October, and I was probably about, well, let's say the 10th of October was the day that it ended. I was like 2 weeks out. 2 weeks out. Imagine that. Imagine that. All the hate and the shit I got off certain individuals. And it turns out, actually, I was pretty much right. The trouble was, none of us listened to me, including myself. We should have all sold on the 9th of October. It would have been absolutely fine. Anyway, we're going to get into it as always. Again, do me a favor, smash up the like button, all that good stuff. Welcome in, everybody. I'm not going to kind of get into it all, but if you go back to the start of the chat, by the way, Stardog laying out the potential 4-year cycle. So definitely go and read that. But welcome in, everybody. Like I said, always appreciate you guys being here for sure. And let's get into it. TikTok, I will show you guys the screen as well, so you can do it. Well, we said we were going into 2026. I mean, that's the other debate that you can have, isn't it? The question would be, how long is a bear market? Or is it the new modern day and that bear markets are a thing? They just market cool-offs before the next rally to the upside. Who the hell knows? Let's try and answer in this. Right, TikTok, obviously. Oh, I can actually see you guys, in fairness. Bear in 1 second. So I don't know if any of you know, I actually have a second phone just so that I can keep an eye on like the screen and stuff. It's a bit weird, but it's like I have a second screen up there so I can watch what's going on the live stream. Just keeps me dialed in. So I will actually be able to see some of your questions as you look at the charts. But, oh, you're such a noob, 2-bit. Such a noob. Come on, bro. Right. There we go, then. There we go. Right. So let me just kind of get this sorted. Davo says 6 months. Let's hope so. See, you can see that there, TikTok. That's the stream going out to YouTube right now. Okay. Let us get into this as best we can and try and give you an idea as to what's going on in the market. So, Axe says we have not confirmed the 2 clauses of the 50 DAT. I mean, look, if you want to hold on to that, fine. The key one for me was the 50-week moving average. And then I'm going to sort of talk about a couple of other things that I think are worth noting on here, by the way. Why do you sell? I did. Well, look, I'm not in a world. By the way, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I did. Like, I totally timed the market 100%. I obviously talk about taking profits on the way up. I've been taking profits through the entire bull market cycle. The only thing I'm probably a little bit late on is actually converting back to stablecoin on some of the plays. However, I still am in a world where I believe something like Ethereum, Solana, and probably XRP, albeit they are probably going to come down, then I'm still probably confident longer term. Do you know what I mean? Ethereum's not going anywhere, is it? But at the minute, I think it's worth de-risking Doesn't mean you have to go 100% out of your portfolio, de-risking. We'll talk about both sides of the argument. So here we go then. This is the Bitcoin price right now. This chart is ridiculous. Someone said to me earlier, I was talking to them, and they're like the ladders up, you know, the how you get to the top when it comes to, you know, BTC, and you finally get there. You've climbed Kilimanjaro all the way to the top, and you're like, yes, and then you just take the big elevator all the way back down. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? But anyway, a couple of key things to note here, by the way. If you look at the Fibonacci, where do we get to? Pretty interesting here on some of the levels. We lost the 618 at the 94,237 price target. Potentially now on this move, 85,489. Now, even a Trump stimulus tweet today saying they're going to dump $2,000 into everyone's pockets in 2026 hasn't really pushed the market. So this is worth noting quite specifically where potentially we end up. For me right now, this price target on this current move is here. The 786 Fibonacci at 85,489 bucks. Can you please play Wipeout by the Beach Boys for me? What? Maybe. Maybe. It depends. If we get to, like, I don't know, 50,000 likes, I might do it. XRP, let's go high. All fine. All goodbye. I mean, Paul Rowe, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. Bobby Billion XRP, what's going on, bro? Welcome in. CME gap got filled at 91.5. I believe there is a CME gap at 104 and 107. There can't be a CME gap at 104 and 107. We'd have lost it. We actually have it here. Look, there is the CME gap. Now, we were talking about this the other day, and we are skipping around a little bit, but for many people, they want to see it. But, you know, you would argue right now, baby, that the CME gap got 100% filled in. So, I mean, if you're a CME gap maxi, you're like, yep, okay, everything's cool. Stimmy checks are coming. CME gap's full. Like, let's send it back to the old-time highs. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. Maybe that's the answer. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. But again, this is kind of where I sit specifically on these price targets currently based on this move that we had. Now, if you take a broader picture and say, well, what does it look like on the weekly candles? Then you sort of get into a little bit more of an interesting place, especially if you take the bottom of the bear market or the 2022 December, take it to that all-time high. You start to get a pretty interesting view. Similar sort of story, really, but gives us a bit more of a macro, I guess, a macro trend. If you were going super bearish, 618 Fibonacci, 58,259 is where you get key significant support range that came in 2024 before we got that next move up. Likewise, 84,200. So a couple of key things to think about, a couple of key price targets I think is worthwhile to note as well. What we talked about yesterday, if you look here at the bottom, the 50-week moving average crossing the 200-week moving average. So again, we do absolutely need to be very much mindful as to where this is going. But certainly, you're talking 85,000 is the potential move on this market right now that we have based upon some of the data and sort of where we get to. Now, alts are pretty naff. I mean, I'm going to go through them all, by the way. And total market cap may even break below 3 trillion, which again would be another catalyst to sort of probably push us down that little bit further. So, Olgaman traveling a bit, ain't got a clue what's going on in crypto these days. Thought I'd check in. Wish I didn't. How are you doing? Happy? Yeah, it feels like it. I mean, the good news, by the way, USDT and USDC dominance up 2%. I mean, if that's good news, then fine. But here we are. Okay, this is kind of where we are, whether you want to talk psychological levels, all that kind of stuff. But right now, definitely in a little bit of trouble, I think it's fair to say. And there's a couple of things that is worth, you know, sort of just talking about as we walk through this. You can even see how well these lines got respected here on the Fibonacci. So we know this is a relatively solid prediction, and you need a catalyst that's going to drive this market right now, in my opinion, versus what we've got at the minute. And it doesn't feel like it. And what I would say as well, as much as the US economy is not the be all and end all, and obviously from a global perspective, then yeah, they're obviously, you know, pretty important. But the reality is they do drive the markets. We actually saw Asia buy once again last night. European markets held. US markets dumped to oblivion, driven hugely, by the way. BlackRock once again. We talked about this last night, by the way, didn't we? If you remember. And I said, oh, maybe this is kind of a lag, but we were right. 4,879 BTC dumped out of iShares. So that's a chunk of change right now. iShares are dumping Bitcoin like lunatics. So again, we do absolutely need to take that into account. So that is where we currently sit in terms of price action. There is not a lot in terms of the altcoin market that's worth going through. ICP's up 13%. Who the hell knows why? Again, though, some of these other coins, look at this, Pump Fund getting absolutely ruined. Pudgy Penguins now down at this level. Look at this. I mean, some of these are great buying opportunities if we were still on the way up. And I think this is the risk, isn't it? Right now, in my opinion, by the way, the best thing to do is being an element of stablecoin. Like I said to you guys last night, I took some more profits off the table last night. I'm probably at about 40% in stablecoin right now, which is kind of good because you're like, okay, cool. Like, here we go. Then let's see what happens. While at the same time, still holding Ethereum, Solana, XRP is probably the vast majority, taking away, de-risking. And I did see a couple of videos, by the way, and obviously it's super interesting when you kind of get into the macro of it. Lots of people are really pushing this narrative like, this is totally fine. It's not going to get any worse. Everything's going to be okay. I don't understand why you're selling. While at the same time, they shill like a really bad meme coin, and you're like, not sure that actually you're being as honest. When someone says to me, when someone puts a video out and they go, let me tell you, I'm not selling a single thing, and you're like, I absolutely know you are, you massive liar. So, gotta be careful, right? Gotta be careful. That's my opinion. Equally, like I said, it all depends on the coins you're in. If you're in some proper arsehole coins, then maybe think about it. If not, you know, be mindful. Be mindful. But right now, my current price target for this breakdown move, 85,465. So again, just think about that as a potential move. So one of the things I want to talk about is the 4-year cycle and the 5-year cycle. So Joe Bud here in massive cap says, where is it written down on a rule book there is a 4-year cycle? The honest answer is there isn't, okay? The same as there isn't a rule book that says when you should take profits, which coin's going to move, what the all-time high price is going to be. The reality is we're in a speculative market, and, well, the reality is you can only go off the data you've got. History tells us that generally markets move in a 4-year cycle, particularly the Bitcoin cycle. The bear market, the accumulation phase, the euphoric all-time high phase, and then the kind of, I don't know what it's called, the dump phase or the kind of cool-off phase, right? That's kind of what we've seen, and historically, that's kind of what we've done. The fact that we're dumping right now, and potentially if we do go into the bear market, then the 4-year cycle is very much intact. And if anything, then actually we should have already got to the bear market cycle. When you take a look at this, according to the 4-year cycle, the bull run is already over. You can see here that generally speaking, 350 days post-halving, we generally get that move to the upside. But it depends how you play it out, and ultimately it depends what you think in terms of some of the more drawdowns after death cross, etc., which we touched on a little bit yesterday. Drawdowns now been around 30% versus 50% that we have seen before. And we've got a little bit of an interest from Raoul Powell that we're going to walk through. So is the 4-year cycle done or not? Shout out to you, Vern. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. So you're saying we're in a bear market. I'm saying that we are certainly indicating that there is a bearish trend right now. Is it fair to say that we're a full-blown bear market? Probably not. Probably not. Why? Because we're still above the previous all-time high, and we're still actually in a world of, if you were here for the 4-year cycle, you're pretty much up there. What you've got to look for is, where does the bear market potentially go down to, which no one really knows, and yeah, what does it kind of look like? So that's my opinion, by the way. That is my opinion. I wouldn't say specifically a bear market as such, but certainly we are bearish. And I think that's worth noting. And generally what follows something like this correction, bear in mind it's about 30% right now, can be seen as a bear market. And a couple of things we've broke are specific to that point. But the end of the 4-year cycle along with the death cross is not something that can be brushed off. Bitcoin needs to break its downtrend to expect a further rally. And this for me is really, really important. While ever you look at this chart, here we are on the daily candles, Bitcoin since October the 10th, or well, probably a little bit before actually, the 7th, it is an absolute macro downtrend. Even if you look at this, as much as it kind of goes like this, that is in an uptrend. We are very much on an elevator down to, 85,000, potentially, all right? Potentially, a lot of things could happen between them. Never been more bullish, bought more today. BR95. See that? Look, people, I like it. I want to be wrong, by the way. Just so we're all clear on this. I 100% want to be wrong. Want to be wrong. But my opinion right now, and look, it depends what you're buying. My opinion, as I talked about there last night, was I'd sit on capital and wait and see. There's no risk to that. Oh, I mean, there's risk of potentially missing out a little bit, but you're going to miss out. The risk at the minute is you miss out on some smaller gains, but you risk losing your capital. I mean, that for me is kind of where the sort of crux sits. Now, ETH back above 3,000, testing this key support here. Again, we want to hold this. The problem is if Bitcoin rolls over, your altcoins are rolling over as well. It's okay, 2bit, you're allowed an opinion. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Doesn't mean, by the way, that there isn't going to be some great opportunities out there. We'll talk a little bit tomorrow night about Monad and a great coin that's launching on Monad. Holy shit, that Monad ecosystem looks crazy. So there's going to be some great opportunities out there. Right now, though, the macro is the macro. Please, can we stop dropping the 85K comment? Okay, Craig. Got you, bro. So let's talk a little bit then around how the 4-year cycle plays out. And I guess where we get to in kind of assuming that maybe we are or maybe not. And this is kind of where we're going to start. We're going to start here at the asset class total return since 2011. Okay, this is kind of a key thing to think about. I need to DCA into my main portfolio. That's all I'm doing right now. Calamari, again, if you're holding Bitcoin, in my opinion, if you're holding Ethereum, if you're holding, in my opinion, XRP, and maybe Solana, by the way. I'm still fully in my Solana position, which, I mean, obviously I bought 8, 9, 10, 12 bucks, which is great, and I'm earning 7.5% yield on that. Do I want to see it go back to 50? Probably not. But at the minute, I'm a bit like, okay, let me just sort of hold on to some of this. And I guess maybe hedge against a slight upside move. But yeah, absolutely done. 2-bit, 85K, Bitcoin, 20K. Great time to buy the dip. American investor. That's literally what we've been talking about. So yeah, what's 85K? The price of BTC. I said next year for a while now. I bought 5,000 XRP while I treated XTC. Treated XTC for XRP. Nice. XRP never ran up with Bitcoin, so no reason why. I said this yesterday, by the way, Macraggy, that I actually think XRP is one of those coins that may buck the trend, giving everything that the XRP is coming. If you didn't catch my XRP video earlier on, by the way, where I let myself in a little bit of a view as to where the ETF market could take the price of XRP, I definitely recommend going and watching that video. It was kind of fun to record, and it was good to kind of break down some of the analysis on it. But I think XRP is in a very different place than many other coins. You've got real traditional finance, Wall Street markets, and much more that's coming in. The one thing to be mindful of, and you're going to hear this word probably a lot more over the coming 2, maybe 3 weeks, as we move towards obviously the Fed Reserve and etc. and all that kind of stuff, is recession. You are going to hear lots about recession. I think this is going to become a big narrative. I think it'll explode on the crypto Twitter in about 2 weeks' time. So everyone that's bearish now in the market will start calling recession stuff. The fact Trump's announced today, well, 2026, don't worry about it. 2G's on its way. You're like, where's that come from? Like, he's going to push this. He cannot afford to screw the midterms up. Surprise, surprise. They're going to come out mid-2026, just before the midterm. So, there is definitely going to be a risk. Whether Trump lets it go into that point, don't know. How do you stop a recession? Well, you spend more and you drop costs. So you'll have to bin the tariff narrative, which may be bullish for markets. Again, we'll sort of break that down a little bit later on. I really wish I had just 3, 4, 5 grand now to buy some lows. So I'm so tempted to sell some XRP, but I don't want to. It's okay if the cycle is going up to buy the dips, but on the downturn to the bear, it's riskier. Patience is your friend. Yeah, see, what's going on, Rob? Good to see you, man. Good advice as well. So what is this that we're looking at right now? So look at this. The 4-year cycle is being priced in. 2026 will end up positive since 2025 is pricing in the 4th year. So if you were to argue and say, generally speaking, we follow a 4-year cycle, and we've seen that over the course of every single bull market, and generally speaking, every single market cycle, then you sort of look at how assets have performed. And Bitcoin generally is a leading indicator into some of these more fragile markets, or I guess risk sentiment. What you can notice here in all of the previous years, so if you run through some of the bull market cycles, let's take, for example, you go to 2013, which would have been a bull market cycle, Bitcoin, 5,507%, the biggest asset of the entire class, right? Super bullish, okay? Move forward to 2017, Bitcoin doing exactly the same. Move forward to 2021, Bitcoin doing exactly the same. So in all previous bull market cycles, when a 4-year cycle attributes, so you get the cool off, so the post, the bearish year. So you can see here, look. So 2013 into a 2014, minus 58%, confirms the bear market. 2018 is the 2017 bear market. 22, 21 bear market. So bull market, bear market, accumulation and sort of consolidation. Okay, you kind of get into that cycle. You can see kind of how these, generally speaking, they play off. What you have this time would be the assumption that 2025 should be obviously the craziest move in the market yet, and we should have expected a massive rally to all-time highs, unless something is different. And this is where obviously it becomes pretty challenging, because you say, well, is it the bear market or is it a delayed bull market cycle? And this is kind of something I've got a video that I'm working on. It's not easy kind of putting it all together, but currently speaking, Bitcoin is the least or the worst performing asset out of everything, by the way. So convertible bonds, large caps, NASDAQ 100, to be behind emerging markets is fucking insane, as well as commodities, by the way. Generally speaking, 2011 to 2025, commodities have performed bad, and yet Bitcoin is kind of behind those this year. So you kind of get in a world that you either believe Bitcoin is incredibly undervalued based on where it is right now at at 1.2%. By tomorrow, this is probably going to be a negative number. What was the start of 2025? What was the price of Bitcoin in 2025? Hold on a minute. It was... here. The 1st of Jan was, here, look, 1st of January. So, oh my God, I'm on Ethereum. I don't want to be on Ethereum. 1st of January, here. So Bitcoin opened on the 1st of January at 93,400. So Bitcoin now for 2025 will be in a negative. It's a negative. That's kind of crazy to think about. So Bitcoin will be a negative performing asset. So yeah, again, the 4-year cycle then almost kind of is right based on October 2025, followed by then the capitulation over the back of the market. Now, if you believe then we're going to go higher and you say, well, probably Bitcoin's delayed into 2026, maybe that could be a thing. So how do we know what that looks like? And I guess importantly, how does the 4-year cycle truly play out? Well, there's a couple of things to think about. Price performance since the cycle low is generally a good idea. If the 4-year cycle is still alive, we are already in a bear market. So again, here's the point here. If you are a believer in a 4-year cycle, then we're done. We're done. And it pretty much aligns to what I said, which was, I mean, I'm 2 weeks out, and it's funny that certain people are in the live stream right now. But anyway, this isn't a time to brag or take any sort of solace in this because I wanted to be wrong on that. I actually did want to be really wrong and rally it in 2025. But anyway, the reality is, though, that the world is a very, very challenging place. But the market would technically be over based on the 4-year cycle. So what else have we got to think about? Well, this is where you have to debate whether we're actually seeing the current business cycle, which, by the way, still leads a 4-year cycle, just with a delayed cycle. The rollover of debt, we listened to Raoul Powell a little bit last night, but the business cycle is the important one. We haven't actually seen a significant Bitcoin spike on the implied ISM pricing. So historically, where we've seen the 2017, 2013, and 2021 bull market cycle rally, then we haven't seen that in this one. So this is an argument for, well, maybe 2025 isn't the bull market we all think it's going to be. And the rollover of debt, which happened in 2020, pushing the 2021 bull market cycle and then came into 22, means we roll over into a 2026 bull market cycle. Think about this. Bitcoin is a macro asset and is pointed this out often. It directly follows the USA business cycle, where the business cycle the business cycle is a measurement of US economic activity based on a survey of purchasing managers at manufacturing firms across the US. That's why that PMI on ISM data is so important. United States ISM Purchasing Managers Index data tracks the business cycle, and this data is released monthly. We do get a couple of interesting reports tomorrow, actually. So it means the current business cycle is taking much longer to play out than in the past, which simply means for everybody here, the BTC top will also take longer to come in. So if you want a little bit more bullish news, you would argue that the 5-year cycle may be playing out. Now, what happens when you get a run before the pump? Generally speaking, BTC dumps align with the business cycle before rallying to a brand new all-time high in the accumulation of the 4-year cycle phase. Delay a year, the rollover and $10 trillion worth of debt may then pushes into a 2025 bull market cycle. Maybe, okay? Is it worth being blindly optimistic that's the case? I don't think so. This is why I'm saying I don't believe there's risk, because you either take some profits off the table, you sit in stablecoin. Even if the 2026 bull market cycle, 5-year cycle plays out, we're still going to dump way more, I think. And then we sort of see like a crazy rally. Think about this. Going back to some of these years, even if you were to take 2021, by the way, Bitcoin rallied 66% in that bull market cycle. Well, even if we went to 85% and then rallied 66 from that point to give us a push to the upside, what does that get us up to? Even at 66% takes us to $142,000. Could be aligned to a more optimistic view of to where 2026 could get to. If you then align and say, well, actually, we're generally seeing a more optimistic move, then you say, well, maybe we do 70%, 75%, you start knocking on the door 150, 160, potentially, okay? Equally, if it's all going to shit, it's all going to shit. And that's the reality we've got to look at. So again, this is worth thinking about, by the way. On the chart, plots the ISM PMI. Every BTC top directly matches the expansion phase and peak of the business cycle. Now, the one thing to note on this that's very different, by the way, is these have never had tariffs, which again, maybe the answer to stop a recession could be, look, we need to hold tight on the tariffs, get rid of them. We need to ease the kind of QT. We need to get the hell out of that. Okay, well, they've said that. Tariffs, we know, recently got dropped on coffee and a few other bits and pieces. Like Trump's doubled down, like 180 on tariffs and been like, okay, we'll get rid of them. deal with China feels like that's a big thing. So, these are some of the things to think about that could push us into 2026 as a potential bull market cycle. Now, there's also other things to think about and other views, by the way, that is worth noting that could then sort of signify. And a couple of these I'm going to talk about now as to sort of why I think they're important. And I guess, look, I think it's important you guys have a view, by the way. I do think it's important that you guys have a view. So the headlines right now: Bitcoin price under pressure slips between 92,000 as a self-fulfilling prophecy puts the 4-year cycle into focus. 2-bit, do you think that Trump tariffs and the Fed not cutting rates because the tariffs screwed the bull run? I think that, I think the tariff thing definitely did. And do you know what I think is the reason why? I don't necessarily think it screwed the bull run. What I think happened is institutional investors are heartless souls who don't care about anybody else. If you think about Bitcoin in the 2017, 2021 bull market cycles, and equally, it's peer-to-peer, isn't it? I'm selling, that person's buying, one of us will be right, okay? Institutions, it's not their money, so it feels different. It's leveraged against debt. It's leveraged against assets. So it can be way more frivolous and it can be way more callous in terms of how it did. And bear in mind, we've seen like $3 billion lost out of markets. $3 billion lost out of markets in like 3 massive liquidation events. People are not going to recover from that quickly. So I think the callousness, I wonder what the hell that was for them. I think the callousness of the selling absolutely screwed the markets, in my opinion. Again, we talked about it when you let banks in and you let the institutions in, sometimes, unfortunately, it ends up biting you in the ass. Look, we're dumping again. Look, ETH now below 3,000. Yeah, it's pretty freaking painful. BNB down as well. Anyway, institutions are the ones wrecking the market. I agree. Callously selling. But, the view here is, by the way, that, Bitcoin remained under pressure on Monday, falling below 92,000 and bridging its losses from record highs in October to more than 26%. The drop is prompting questions about whether this remains a temporary correction or the beginning of another 4-year cycle that led to a longer-term sell-off. Okay, so again, absolutely worthwhile noting on this point. The current sell-off also coincides with the window in which Bitcoin historically peaks, approximately between 400 and 600 days after the last halving event, which occurred in April 2024. Good news, though, we're only 3 years away from the next halving. So, it's not the end of the world, isn't it? So, what are some of the other things that we need to kind of think about that may be in a world of saying, okay, the 4-year cycle, you either, like I said to you right at the very start, okay? Do you get your night coins 2 days left? I held my XRP in a ledger, so I don't know if I can get them. But I haven't yet. I haven't done it yet. I might try and do it tonight. I'll buy BTC when it falls below 10K. I don't think it's going to go below 10K, but hey, it may do. It may do. Are you selling? I've been selling now for a week, maybe. It's been like a week. I feel like it's a week. So yeah, I'm about 45% into stablecoin right now. And I talked about yesterday. I talked about last week on the stream what I was doing, and when I even put it in the Discord, in the private Discord, like I think it was early last week actually. So maybe it's like 8 or 9 days. Anyway, totally agree. I think retail didn't want to be screwed by institutions. Yeah. So right now, in a downtrending market, retail's not going to come in and trade this. Like they're going to be like, screw that. Like if you saw, and I generally believe this would happen, by the way, if you saw massive shorts stacking up that everyone's going super bearish on the market, I think they'll pump the price. That's why we need the Clarity Act to come in my opinion. But yeah, that's kind of where I get to now. So if we talk in 4-year cycles that we've done and you say, well, the 4-year cycle I believe in, then you already should be in stablecoin. You should have already got out. You absolutely have kind of, you need to get it out. What I want to focus a little bit now is how can we possibly prove that maybe the 2026 5-year cycle outside of ISM, which in fairness, even I don't really know what it is. And I'm not saying I'm I'm not saying I'm educated in any way, shape or form. It's just what I read and kind of research. But let's look at something else. Let's try and look at some of the data points and equally some of the things macro side that's happening that may indicate to us that there is a 2026 bull market move coming. Or is it just, like I said, hopium in the markets and we just hope and pray that actually this isn't because none of us took enough profits at the top? Maybe that's the answer. So one of the key things to keep our eye on is the stablecoin supply ratio. So this is basically stablecoins currently sitting on exchanges. Now, what we are seeing is we are absolutely seeing this bottoming out before we start therefore pushing back to the upside. So worth noting versus the price, the last few times we've seen it have historically marked lows in the market. Forget EMAs. And I know a few people talked about this yesterday where they were like, well, should you should you 100% put your trust in one indicator? No, you should take a view of the entire market, by the way. And then the Fairground, what's going on, buddy? By the way, if you haven't already, do me a quick favor. We've got like 120 people here on YouTube. Do me a quick favor. Smash up the like button to a brand new all-time high. Also, nearly 100 people here on TikTok as well. So tap the screen, lock in a couple of likes. Massively would appreciate it as well. It does help out the channel. And while you guys have been killing it recently with the views, the comments, the support, the channel's starting to move again. We're getting some good views, good subscriber base building again. So look, I appreciate you guys' support massively. Keep doing what you're doing. Really, really appreciate it. So what we've generally seen here is when this stablecoin supply ratio, or you may hear this as SSR, has actually dropped to below this 13.1%. Historically, that has seen us rally in the price of BTC, and this goes all the way back to the 2021 bull market cycle, and equally has been with us all the way up this move over the course of the last sort of 2 or 3 years. So this is worth noting, by the way. It actually mirrors the exact bottom we got before we saw the 2024 move, again, to a brand new all-time high. Does this then give us a bit of an upside momentum? Potentially, but I think you have to double this down with something that not a lot of people are going to want to hear or like, but it's true. So, insider buying stroke selling. Obviously, above the line at the top is buying pressure, below is selling pressure. So this is coming from the FMRC core, which basically tells us any kind of institutional selling or anything like that. So the reality is that retail investors are still, in my opinion, are still a little bit bullish. Crypto Puppy, what's going on, buddy? 10K Bitcoin, I'll go and sell myself to get cash. Retail generally feels a little bit bullish. Now, because what you'll notice, and you can go across onto YouTube, for example, and you can post like, what are people talking about? Exactly as the video I talked to you about earlier on, where someone is literally sat there saying, I'm not selling. If you're selling, I don't know why you're in this market. Like, you've definitely, like, okay? Like, you've got to be really mindful about agendas and what people are talking about and why they are talking about it. Because what you don't want to do is blindly follow someone. Why is this person going on my screen? Get the hell off my screen. And I think it's worth noting, okay? Because a lot of people are definitely pushing the like, oh, it's this, that, and then they potentially are all going for it. So retail is kind of a little bit bullish, all right? Retail's kind of a little bit bullish. So again, we need to be mindful of that. The problem you've got is, as we talked about Sunday, institutions are not bullish, and they don't need to be. They'll have made a ton of cash. They've made a lot of fees off their customers. Think about it, 14.5 billion. Even if you said a 0.5 ratio as an example on fees, although we need to see, in fact, what do we know what the trading volume is? Okay, so let's say total trading volume, 1st to the 11th, we saw that. Let's say this is an average, okay? So the 1st to the 11th, sorry, that's not what I mean. 11th of the 1st. How many days ago is that? How many days ago is the 11th of the 1st? Anyone know? How many days is it since Jan 11th? 310 days, okay? So let's say 310 days right now, okay? Times by an average of, let's say, $8 million, right? Let's say 8 million, because that's what it is today. And we obviously seen way up to that. $2.48 billion, okay, is what's been traded. Let's say you've got a 0.5% fee on that. Yeah, let's say you got a 0.5% fee. Hold on a minute. You're gonna make at least $124 million just from fees, assuming you're at 0.5. Some of these are a little bit higher, right? So, you know, that's kind of where we get just from a 0.5% fee. So they've made some capital. They've obviously done all the rest of it. So institutions right now are not bullish. And I think that is where you kind of have to position yourself a little bit to then sort of get into a world of saying, well, insiders are dumping at record rates that we've not seen before. They've all kinds of reasons to sell shares, including compensation. Again, little signals that they can just dump in mass liquidity. Remember, they're not dumping Bitcoin specifically. They're dumping shares in BlackRock backed by, you know, what is it, like $19 trillion, whatever it is. So again, think about it. The 25-to-1 sell to buy ratio is something that gives me pause and worth noting. Insiders are selling, okay? Insiders are selling. Now, a couple of other things to think about. Total supply and loss held by short-term holders is at a record high. We haven't actually seen this level since FTX crash. People are dumping their bags at a loss. Now, what does this tell us? Exactly the point we were making. That actually retail came in at the top and now they're getting which generally means that that's the start of a bull market because bear market, because people are getting the hell out of there. This doesn't necessarily correlate directly to what we've seen previous. However, with the FTX collapse, we saw exactly the same sort of levels before everyone just dumped their entire bags and got the hell out of Dodge. So again, worth noting as that kind of walks through. You've also got Federal Reserve members, and we talked about this. Some of these, Fed Waller coming in saying he thinks we should cut 25 basis points. Good news. What did he base that on? US labor market was weak. GDP growth slowed in half year 2. Consumer sentiment is down, and firms report slackening demand, and housing and car affordability weighing on spending growth. One of the key things to think about when it comes to housing and cars are defaults on loans. Defaults on loans. In fact, I wonder if we can get this chart. Let's do car defaults in car default indicator of recession. Because the reality is people are going to way more default when economies are crap out there. So rising car loan defaults can be an indicator of a potential recession as they reflect increasing financial strain on consumers, essentially those with subprime credit. This trend suggests that a growing number of Americans are unable to meet their monthly payments, which can precede a broader economic downturn and signal stress in consumer credit markets. That's why I think we didn't get CPI, because I think CPI would have been a fucking disaster based on car loans and new cars. So we need to be mindful of subprime credit and obviously these car loans. I think if people start defaulting on car loans, house payments, etc., then yeah, hardwired. I did read about that. I mean, do you believe it? I think it wasn't just like a narrative, like a bit of a kind of old school, slightly weird KOL, but great time to buy RSR 2-bit. I'll definitely take a look. Morning, guys. Just got back in from the beginning. What's going on, Andy, baby? Welcome in. I'm panic buying, Michael. Man, you guys are bullish on buying. Hi, Michael. Hi, all. No better time today again. Hunter, crypto be on sale. Holy shit, mate. Yeah, I know. Trippy, we're going to eat dust straight waterfall, or is there any bounce on the horizon of the weekly fib? What's your opinion? 85k. That's kind of where I think the market's going to go. If we're in a bear market, I don't believe it will be as deep. Yeah, I mean, that's the other point. We talked about this yesterday. The drawdowns look on average to be about 30%. That's not historical. Historical tend to be way bigger than that. So maybe we only drop 30%. Maybe we're close to the bottom, and the bottom may just be like, okay, we're just going to sit here for a little bit and then kaboom. Wallace says December rate cut will provide additional insurance on the labor market and is unlikely to change his view regardless of upcoming jobs data. So we got a couple that, potentially going to be pretty bullish as that sits. So again, this kind of supports us in a narrative. Now, let's take a quick view of what Raoul Powell's saying, because obviously he's a big advocate for the ISM. What's XR price right now is 214.82. 214.82. So yeah, that is exactly where it is right now. So Tom Lee is bullish. He bought more Ethereum today. He actually bought more Ethereum. Right, where's Raoul Powell's thing? Here. I wanted to put the current sell-off into perspective. BTC corrected in 2024, negative 32%. 2025, 32%. Right now is around 28%. This is normal. You've lived it before. Sol corrected 47%, 67%, currently 48%. And Sui, corrected 69%, 79%, and 68%, and is 64%. Currently, technicals are flamboyantly oversold. Sentiment is in the shitter too. Worst I've ever seen in the cycle. Maybe that's the bottom. Maybe that's just where we get to, and potentially that's how we sort of see the upside momentum coming back up. Worth noting, by the way, Bitcoin to stablecoin reserve ratio, guess what? It's descending, which generally therefore means that this is a bullish signal as Bitcoin comes down and people start to potentially buy the dip, all right? But it doesn't feel like people are buying the dip right now. It feels like people are, pained by the dip. So if we were to try and summarize where we are, and I guess try and take a view of the overall broader market, well, where do we get to as a potential answer? You have two choices to make, and then we're going to put a poll up and we're going to get your view. The view would be, if you believe that we are in a 2024 4-year cycle, as with always, then you probably should have sold all your coins and got the hell out of Dodge, because that means that the 4-year cycle is donezo, and therefore, why sit and wait for the inevitable, which you've confirmed that you don't believe, okay? Which I think is important to reference. Or you argue and say, well, there is some macro that tells me that 2026 might be the bull market cycle. So I'm going to put a poll up right now. If you believe that the bull market is ending 2025, let me know. 2026, cast your vote on what do you believe the answer is. Tom Lee looks like a cartoon character. He does a little bit. Fears at 14 yesterday and 10. Shouldn't it be lower because of more dippity dip? Well, I mean, that's as low as we've been. I don't even think we got that low in the like FTX and Luna crash. I'm in short positions on BTC and ETH, but still DCA buying BTC. Look, again, if you look at a broader macro trend, BTC is going upwards. All right, take the noise away from the kind of short-term selling. It's only if the world of like, you're like, okay, I'm watching the dailies, I'm watching the hourlies, I'm watching the 5-minuters, and it's all going red, bro. What the hell? Do you think the bottom is soon, Angus? I mean, you could argue that generally speaking, we'd have to look on the weekly candles here. You could argue that where does the bottom historically go to post a bull market move? That's how you've got to play it. So if you think about back here in 2021, all the way at the top 68,000, we then wicked all the way down to there, 77% drawdown to 15,600, which didn't really corroborate to other than the sort of peak from the 2017 bull market cycle top. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, the reality then means that if you were to base it on something similar to this pattern, then you're going to get to the sort of peak of where the 2021 bull market cycle ended up being, which was around $70,000. So if you were to just play it out in the same sort of line, you'd argue $70,000 probably feels like that could be the potential price target. Fibonacci retraced that from the peak down to the bottom. Where does it sit? It absolutely aligns 100% perfectly on the 0.5 Fibonacci. Surprise, surprise. So again, if you were to say, well, maybe this bull market cycle is kind of where it's going to go, that's my price prediction. Absolutely aligned to the 0.5 Fibonacci. Does it play out similar? So if we take a look, for example, from the all-time high here to the potential low, what did this look like as a move on that Fibonacci level? Well, if I actually did it right, then it'd probably help out a little bit. Let's take it from the bottom here to the top. Where do you get to? Well, you get to a similar kind of story, which comes in at around the 0.5 Fibonacci. So again, that would be my price target as the potential bottom, 71,000. Difficult to say. The last bull market had much higher rally aggressive than the one we got now. So the pullback should be more. Yeah, true. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if you think about it, what would that be as a potential wick down? It would be 43%. So about what? 60, 65% of what the previous push down was. Say 77, 66 might be the answer that sees us come down a little bit further. So again, worth noting on this point here. Are we ready to go pumping anyone? I don't think so, JFR. Bitcoin was crippled in 2017. I mean, the difference between 2017, by the way, was there was a shit ton of liquidity that was slammed into the market. So, like we said, if you believe in a 2026 bull market cycle, I still don't know whether it's actually worth blindly holding on to fringe coins. Maybe top coins could be a good news story, but yeah, not 100% sold on that narrative right now. While at the same time, we're going to wait and see what happens here on the weekly. The daily definitely looks like it's a little bit painful and that we could continue down. We've broke this level. So, my predictions, like I said, about 85, 86,000, in my opinion. Do you think Tom Lee predictions are accurate? I don't think anyone's predictions are accurate, really. I mean, think about it. Think of worst case, best case. What could change the direction of the market? Like Trump could come out and go, the US government bought Bitcoin today. Everyone would be like, holy fuck, like this market's institutions would buy, like that's kind of how quickly I think this market could move, because I think everyone is almost desperate for the bull market to continue, or that the bull market should go higher. I mean, in fairness, we should have gone way higher than 125 if that is the actual top. But we'll see. Very little, by the way. Trading is limited. So you can see here that there is not a lot. And if anything, there is zero or very little 100x leverage longs right now. So yeah, not a lot. Whereas shorts stacking up big time. So if anything, if market makers want to go and wreck everybody, and the reverse psychology says, well, dump the price, reverse and wreck the shorts rather than wrecking the longs. But BTC making 4 or 5K moves in minutes recently. I mean, look, I'm not saying, I absolutely believe this market's been the worst bull market ever and the most manipulated bull market cycle ever, which is why it wouldn't surprise me if we did pump in 2026. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. If all of a sudden Bitcoin, before you know it, you blinked and you're at 150. Like, it just wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. However, you got to play the market, risk versus reward and logic versus emotion. And you should play both of those narratives. And if you do, then you're probably going to be all right. If you don't, then you might shit your bed. Daily official entered the oversold area on the RSI. Yeah, I don't have... I can put the RSI on, in fairness. I don't actually have it on. I think I prefer stochastic RSI just as a measure, by the way. But yeah, I mean, we are definitely oversold. Definitely oversold on the stochastic RSI. Likewise on this indicator. So, you know, you'd argue, yeah, we are. The question would have to be then, what does it look like from previous markets? Where did we get to on previous market lows? So the top of the bull market, we didn't really get to that, was at 100.56. Where was the bottom of the bull? Where was the bottom of the bear market post FTX collapse? The reality is we saw it as wick as low as 4.65. We're at 4.15 now. So you could argue on a stochastic RSI view, we are lower on that measurement than we were at the bottom after the FTX and Luna collapse. Does that mean the bottom's in? I mean, you could argue for it, maybe. Do you think alts are going to make a move? Not at the minute. Not at the minute, Feyenoord. If anything, alts are going to get demolished even further. Which is what I've been selling, in fairness, and getting out of certain altcoins. Yeah, just tell Bitcoin it's been really easy bull market. I mean, that's true. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Some have moved pretty well. I mean, XRP was a great hold. I mean, Jesus, that was like 300% bullish. I'm loading up regardless with XRP because one of the regs happened, cycles what matter. I mean, that's also true as well. Bearded, good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. Been a minute since you've been here. Jimmy, what's the catalyst that you think could push crypto north? I think it comes from the Trump administration. So an announcement of the US government buying Bitcoin, I think, would be a big catalyst. I think a 50 basis points cut, because what you got to understand as well a little bit right now is as this kind of market moves further and further towards December's potential rate cut, people will start to pricing recession, right? So at the minute, you're probably in a world where if the Federal Reserve cuts 50 basis points, people will shit their pants and say the recession's around the corner. We've been saying that now for, man, a while. What's interesting, by the way, and we'll see if it happens, I've been calling a December double rate cut for ages. And it may happen. If the labor market absolutely shits the bed, then you might get a double cut. But I think a double cut spooks markets, forces massive panic. People will run to the banks like we saw with Silvergate and everyone else, and that's kind of where we got. Is Pepe a buy? I mean, Pepe is so far underwater right now that, I mean, it's almost like the only way Pepe could go is up. Potentially. Still have your discount code on the website? Let's go. Put it in the chat. I can't remember what it was. RSI, please. 1 hour heavy build. You got to zoom in though. On the 1 hour. I mean, the markets are trying, markets are trying to rally a little bit. Well, I can do this on the 1 hour chart, couldn't I? There you go. So yeah, potential flipping here, but I mean, it's few and far between. Don't trade the hour, trade the day, trade the week. Oh, on RSI, not stochastic RSI. Okay, fine. I can just put the normal RSI. Where's the Bitcoin price gone? There it is. Indicators, RSI. So you've got a marginal build bouncing off the lows, but I mean, it's going to need some right movement to try and get anywhere near. Like I said, I'm only asked about the daily and the weekly. Right now, it is in the gutter, baby. It's in the gutter. Nino says, is that thumbnail clickbait or do you really believe it's over? I have been advocating for getting in stablecoin now for about 9 days, 10 days. Once we broke that, and my confirmation was breaking the 50-week moving average and people blindly going bullish on nonsense. So, for example, someone tweeted out, in fact, a number of people said, oh, Billie Eilish has bought Bitcoin. No, she didn't. So it's not like, I mean, what I would say is I don't think it's clickbait, but it's to make you click, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I'm now 40% in stablecoin on my entire portfolio. And then we've just spent the last 40 minutes talking about the cycles that I think are going to be good. Yeah, just looking for the Hopium reversal. Yeah, look, 100%. And like I said, I was kind of answering Cynic. Yeah, Zebek was actually doing all right today, in fairness. Scared money don't make money. That's true. But also foolish money gets wrecked. Yeah, I try not to be super clickbaity. I've got to be honest. Some of them are, but I try not to be super clickbaity. But yeah, so my view would be what changes the market? A Trump announcement. The risk a little bit is you've got Trump going, the economy is great. The economy is amazing, right? It's super crazy good. this is kind of what they're basing on the stock market. And we'll get Nvidia earnings, and Nvidia earnings are going to be enormous. And you'll see the NASDAQ probably pump on the back of these. But if the stock market rolls over, we're fucked, baby. And that is a absolute definitive confirmation that we are probably going to head to recession, by the way. Now, what's interesting is you've got projected GDP growth of 4% in the US, which is obviously pretty stand. There's maybe where the UK government might actually, for the first time ever, get it right. And we're like, GDP about 0.1. Yeah, we don't want to overcook things. We don't want to overcook things, you know. Not since the 10K. Yeah, I don't really do shock face anymore. Bro, Crypto Kid, I actually unsubscribed to much clickbait at work, getting notifications saying it's all over and the market has moved 0.5%. I mean, the latest ones now, I showed some of them yesterday, where people have got this big like XRP audience watching, and then they put like XRP holders must watch, and they talk about nothing at all related to XRP. It's all, I mean, you just have to read some of the comments. They're like, bro, you didn't mention XRP once in this video. And like the thumbnail is like, XRP is going to zero. I mean, that was one I didn't think I'd see just yet. I don't know if you guys saw that one. I don't know if you guys saw, but someone actually put in that XRP was going to zero, and you're like, oh yeah, that is definitely a new one. It's normal for everywhere. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Max fear in the market is certainly is certainly where we are right now. Let me see if I don't know if I XRP. I just thought it was funny earlier on. Man, hold on a minute. Levi's back. Holy crap, he live streamed about that. Yeah. I mean, some of them are wild. I mean, look, I'm not gonna obviously name them specifically because TikTok gets weird about it, but you know, XRP Trump live news happening now. I bet you $1,000,000 this wasn't even like talking anything to do with XRP. There's mine, look. There's mine. Go and watch it. Highly recommend it. This is where we are. This is us live streaming now, like I said. Let's go, baby. Where's the one I saw earlier on? Man, Levi's been slamming some videos out today. What the hell? Oh, man, it's all gone. There was one earlier on. It literally said, where is it? There it is. Look, XRP has zero value and should be worth. I mean, that's clickbait. That is 100% a clickbait title, isn't it? Like, come on, bro. Like, what the hell? Get out of here. Anyway, it looks like it's over, but I think it's delayed and lands in the first quarter of 2026. I'm not holding my breath for a utility cycle. Michael, well, look, again, that's the narrative we've been talking about, aren't they? If you believe 2026 is the bull market cycle, then you're fine. Tubby doesn't do clickbait. Yeah, I know. I'm trying not to. XRP's going to 1 cent. Scottish, what's going on, bro? Welcome in. Hope you're doing well, pal. Don't forget, everybody, do me a quick favor. Find that little thumbs up at the bottom of the screen. Give it a little tap. It absolutely will make your life a little bit better. I absolutely believe so. While at the same time, as generally speaking, it used to support us with the price of Bitcoin. Not so much anymore, but hey, it is what it is. So, with the Fed Watch CME gap and, yeah, the Bitcoin price yet again seemingly heading to zero. I mean, Cardano was a bad call, wasn't it? 45 cents. What the hell? You don't need ETH, etc. I don't know what that means. I think it must be in relation to another question. Have you seen MNEE stablecoin first class token free instant? Pretty cool. No, I have not. I think the bottom for XRP is 150. Ooh, let's take a look. I mean, we're on this key support that we drew yesterday for XRP, 213. It's actually holding up better than most. If we can get a bounce off XRP here, that'd be good news. That would be good news. Whether we will or not is another debate. So, I mean, this consolidation range on XRP is wild, though. This whole, I did not mean to put that on the screen. This whole, like, range here is kind of crazy, isn't it? That XRP has been such a big thing. And like we said yesterday, this really big support level goes all the way back. Look how many times this has been, like, a real support. So if you lose XRP at this, then, yeah, I mean, where would I predict? 150, yeah, probably align with you, in fairness. Back to this kind of cluster, you know, 150 could be a potential price target for... yeah, for XRP, probably literally on the money there. Literally, where would that be? Yeah, potential. I turned on the Oscar live. He was stuffing his face with food. Not a pretty sight. Wow. Back-to-backs weeks closing under the 50-week would confirm. Yeah, I agree, Beebs. I agree. I mean, for me, the fact we closed underneath it was a was a big deal. And then we've just dumped ever since. Relentless selling. XRP should be bullish. Well, if you honestly go and watch that video I put out, if you look at the ETFs and what they could do, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, that's at least what XRP's got coming for it. Bitcoin ETFs are out, you know. Your bearishness makes me think you haven't been in crypto for long. See, I don't believe it's bearishness. I think it's logic. And Marty, I've been in cryptocurrency since 2017, and I've lost an absolute shit ton of money in this market, and not ever really made an absolute shit ton of money. So, I mean, look, you've got to make the decision you've got to make. By the way, I absolutely believe that I'm trying to be objective in this market, because I think you have two sides of the story at the minute. You've got people that are just like insanely bullish, that are like, this is fine. The death cross, fine. Don't worry. It's all just a like buy the dip. Like I said, I watched a video earlier, and there's people like, if you're selling, you're doing it wrong, right? Equally, I don't necessarily think you should be super bearish, right? I don't think you should be in a world of saying, well, the market's totally over. We're all going to zero. Because if I believe that, I'd be 100% in stablecoin and would have sold. So I saw 2017 where I got wrecked on BitConnect. I lost about $8,000, always on credit cards. That's bad news, right? Christmas Eve, sorry. I saw my entire portfolio go to zero, right? Zero. So much so I left cryptocurrency in 2017. Cloud mining contracts closed down, lost everything, right? Totally lost everything, barring about 3 ETH. That time was $70 in Ethereum, so it was like $250. I was like, I'm $10,000 on credit cards here for this market. Bad decision, by the way. Don't ever do that. Came back in 2020, managed to kind of wangle a bit here and there. Started on YouTube in 2020. Back end of 2020, early 2021. And the two things that have always stayed with me for both of those occurrences was 2017, I just got wrecked. I got wrecked because I was greedy. 2021, I didn't go into stablecoin quick enough, and ended up still being okay, but just should have gone into stablecoin quick enough. And for me, yeah, I mean, there's maybe an argument to say we should have gone into stablecoin a little bit quicker. Equally, if we have price targets of, potentially 80K, like we're going to go way lower yet. So, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm still at a price target, portfolio target that I think is okay. So yeah, that's my view. But I don't think it does anything to be extremely bullish or bearish. I think you've got to try and be objective, logic, and work through reason. What's the catalyst that converts this to an uptrend? That's the question that people can't answer right now. Even the Trump stimulus announcement today has not really done anything. So that's kind of where I get to. Price target 85K. Maybe that's the bounce. Maybe 85K is the bounce. The confirmation of this entire move maybe comes off there, but we'll have to see. You cannot use credit cards anymore. Banks have blocked it. Yeah, exactly. Look, 2017, you can do what you want. No one give a flying fuck about cryptocurrency. Bear in mind, Bitcoin were $2,000. It were $2,000 when I bought Bitcoin in 2017. The trouble was I bought it and dumped it all into the BitConnect platform. It still pains me to this day because I bought a Coinbase account and I can see like how much I bought Bitcoin for, and it was $2,000. It was $2,000. What the hell? Anyway, bad news coming out for Bitcoin. 91 if it breaks, 78, 77. Maybe. Now, BlackRock have been selling, we know that, but they've sold another 4,500 Bitcoin. We talked about that last night. Why go into stablecoin rather than selling for cash? Because I don't need the cash is the honest answer. That doesn't mean that I'm super rich. That doesn't mean that I've got like wealth coming out of my earballs, but I still want to be positioned in this market. And I truly believe that, cryptocurrency, given its adoption rate that we've got, may even allow you to use it. And so, by the way, 2022, like bottom of the bear market, I went all out of the banking system. I dislike banks. Doesn't mean I don't have a bank account, but I've talked about this before. I am like 100% out of banking outside of having an account, which my missus runs. So my paycheck goes into an account that I don't even have access to, in fairness. I have a card somewhere, but I've no idea where it is. Yeah, trade on spot as well. Yeah. I don't really trade leverage that much. Occasionally I'll do it, but not super crazy. Not super crazy, but yeah. But yeah, so like I'm way more into the markets, as I don't generally do anything to do with the banks. I never sell, so my crypto's always gone up. I guess that's where the disconnect is. Look, again, and what I've said right at the very start of this stream is I'm still fully in my Solana positions. I'm fully in my Ethereum positions, and I'm fully in my XRP positions. I'm not really a big holder of Bitcoin. I've bought it for my kids. Aiden, what's going on, buddy? So my kids have wallets. All that's still in coins. Like I said, I'm 40% in stable coins. I've taken where I would say riskier altcoin positions and put them into stablecoin. Core, you know, you're still in elephant coin too, but no, that position got closed a while ago. Anyone got any BSV just in case? The only person in the world legally not allowed to say he's Satoshi is actually Satoshi. Wild story. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. You know, do I think Ethereum's got a big run ahead of it? Of course I do. Do I think Ethereum will eventually get to $100,000? Probably. You just got to be, you know, you got to play the markets, haven't you? So, and again, there's a little bit of me that wants the market to rally. I want a 2026 new all-time high. Like fucking hell, 100%. I want that. So, you know, is it sensible to be 100% stablecoin? I mean, argument would be yes if you got in at the top of the 2025 bull market cycle top. But like anything, you know, you just got to be sensible and, you know, hedge your opportunities, is what I would say. And, you know, it's different for each person, isn't it, as well? So that's where I currently sit. So any more questions? Keep bringing them in, baby. What do you think about Solana? Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about Solana. The ecosystem does way more than Ethereum. It's just undervalued against Ethereum. But yeah, I mean, I still have 100% of my Solana staked, earning me 7% yield, which is great. I don't do shorts anymore, 2-bit. That will take your money 95% of the time. That's true. That's true. Just trade less margin, less leverage. That's the best way to do it. Trade on like 5x leverage, and have conviction in the decision you make. Stablecoins are risky though too. They can depeg just like Luna because BTC is maybe a safer haven. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I think the difference between Luna was that was an era where stablecoin companies were a bit rogue. Think about it. For Circle to list as an IPO and then launch on the public traded stock market, that thing will have been audited to death. So you'd argue USDC is probably not bad. USDT, I believe, have been done as well. So yeah. What about Ondo? I mean, I'm in Ondo. I'm pretty optimistic about Ondo, but I feel like, I mean, the risk is when you start to look at bear markets, what can transcend multi-cycles? Look at Avalanche. Avalanche should have been super crazy. Should have got to 2, 3, 4, 500 bucks this cycle. It didn't break 100. Like, what the hell? Like, Avalanche had a fucking shit bull run. You know, does that mean it could go to next time? Maybe. I mean, Avalanche was utter garbage. Anyway, Mr. Johnny says, does no one else think it's major manipulation with Franklin Templeton ETF going live? And also there was another dump just before previous XRP spot ETFs. Look, don't get me wrong. There's absolutely manipulation in this market like we've never seen before. Never seen before. Hey, Timmy, just got on, was dealing with auto insurance all day. What did I miss? And is the 4-year cycle over? Well, two things. I guess, what would the summary be? If you believe in a 4-year cycle, you should already probably be out. And in stablecoin, if you believe 5-year cycle comes, then you would assume next year is going to be even bigger than this year, which then means you should probably still be in some coins. Go back and watch the start of the video. We actually went deep diving into cycles and why the 4-year cycle could be over and why the 5-year cycle probably has a potential. But again, doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be true. You just got to, kind of work it through. I use USDC to hold dollars, not USDT. So I split it. So I have some in USDT and I have some in USDC right now. Comes down to buying, holding, selling, and then repeat. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah, 100%. Go XRP. Fairground's bullish. Let's go on Fairground. So, yeah, I mean, that's the reality of it, too. Putting our Oscars and XRP is all over current. That's what they do. Again, I don't want to start hating on people, but if you notice that a lot of the channels, I've tried to position a bit of my content to almost, I mean, I'm almost pivoting now into a little bit of like macroeconomic stuff. While at the same time keeping it kind of held down to Bitcoin. I think we'll still cover XRP and then sort of anything else that sort of comes up. But yeah, layer 1 rockets will, yeah, I mean, layer 1's potentially. Yeah. I mean, how's Casper doing nowadays? I mean, Alvin closed his miner down. What's the price of Casper? Anyone know? It's a while since I've even looked at it. Even if it's a bear market, I'm holding XRP, will pump one day. I mean, look, I've said this before. I think XRP as a coin may be the one that outperforms even in a bear market. Yeah, so Casper's down at 4 cents. Holy shit. That was a bad decision to buy that miner. Christ. That was $6 grand I'll never get back. The greatest bull run of all time turns into the worst bull run in history of the cryptocurrency market. Yeah, Beebs, you're absolutely right. That's exactly right. It's a disaster, bro. What the hell? Come on. It's now it's meant to end. Basically, Tim Shea says a 5-year cycle, so it's definitely a 5-year cycle. I agree. Bro, if Tim says it's a 5-year cycle, it's a 5-year cycle. So, yeah. And it is what it is. I miss Bertha. Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? Well, like I said, hopefully with the new partnership, I just agreed that we can... I'm going to try and get them on the channel because I'm super excited about their project, by the way. Super excited about it. And it's on Monad, which I haven't looked a lot in, by the way. I'm not like super locked into it. I did look on Coinbase earlier that I'm eligible if I want to, you know, dive into the pre-sale. But yeah, Monad looks like it's going to be pretty wild, in fairness. And it's backed by Coinbase, the first real one they've got behind. So yeah, it could be interesting. Could be interesting. More on that probably... Maybe we talk about it tomorrow, actually. We'll see. We'll see what the market's doing right now. But yeah, super interested in that. Right, BSV. Who was asking about the BSV chart? I mean, this thing looks about as done. I mean, the fact this rallied over like $100 earlier on in 2023 was kind of crazy. But yeah. Well, at least I was only 6K you lost, not the full 12 cost of the buy. I mean, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Obviously went halves with somebody, but yeah, not the end of the world. Well, if you have 91K, buy one Bitcoin, sell in a few months. When it goes to 120K again, make 25K in a few months. I mean, that's true. So Joe Bro says, we'll go up beginning of the year and then the final dump lower. What's your opinion on Zengo? I don't even know what that is. Could you pull up the BSV BTC chart for the culture? There you go. Yeah, I mean, that just doesn't look great, does it? Doesn't look great, unfortunately. Any Zebek news? Not that I've seen, actually, but Zebek was holding up pretty well, in fairness. Zebek was open up pretty well. Is there a way of doing... Is there a way of kind of putting dark screen on Coinbase? Anyone know? It's super bright, this. It's in my eyes. Maybe not. Maybe not. So yeah, Monad, this is, it's in pre-sale, isn't it? We update our Monad to GDP ratio. Okay, fine, cool. So yeah, maybe one to think about. Like I said, I did look at it on Coinbase. You have to like reserve the coins. I think it's 5 days left. I think it launches Saturday. Zengo's decentralized Web3 wallet. Oh, nice. BSV BTC. Oh, is that dollar one? Okay, sorry. Hold on a minute. Let's do it here then. BSV BTC. BSV BTC. There you go. I mean, going down, 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 down. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a question and a half. All travel. How many percentage of crypto influence do you think are paid by the government? Wow, that's wild. I mean, I have no idea, bro. Paid by the government? Why would the government pay influencers? Andy, so what's going on, man? Welcome in. I didn't realize CZ and Binance had $2 billion in World Limit Financial. That explains Trump's pardon for CZ. Yeah. I don't think it's as clear cut as like a CZ thing, but yeah, there is a lot of money that kind of went across. I think it was part of the seeding round. But yeah, it's wild. The 4-hour chart on BSV versus BTC moving to the upside. What wallet would you recommend to store crypto on other than Revolt? Most YouTubers are Americans, but for UK and Ireland. So I use a number of different hot wallets. So I use MetaMask, Trust Wallet, Phantom Wallet. I think that's it. And then I have a Ledger as well. But yeah, I mean, MetaMask never let me down, in fairness. So just be sensible, like what you have on there. Don't have like $50,000 on it or something stupid like that. Just have a little bit. But yeah, that's what I use anyway. And I have most of them like connected with my phone and my computer and all the rest of it. What's the name of that coin on Coinbase? You said it's called Monad. So it's yeah, it's a new pre-sale. It's a new blockchain. So this is the public sale here. Look, 7.5 billion. But you get it on Coinbase. So when I looked earlier on, it was still there. Like I said, it said it had 5 days left. But yeah, so it's the team I've connected with are building something on Monad. They're going to launch at the same time. Super interesting, super interesting. More to talk about. But yeah, looks pretty crazy in fairness. 90k then pump. Hold fast on this. Shabs, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. Shabs looking fresh in the green. By the way, if you want to get access to our Discord, link is in the bio, or like I said in the description down below. If you want to get access to trade alerts, new coins, VC opportunities, make sure you grab hold of that channel membership. It's like $8 a month. It's absolutely worth it. Head down there, click join, or subscribe here on TikTok as well. Sports channel. Again, you don't have to. I'm never going to kind of hold certain things back. Maybe some stuff. But if you are bullish on it, then yeah, would appreciate the support. And like I said, Shabs looks great in green. I know there's a couple of others out there as well that look super bullish in their green. Foz looking super great in your green as well. So I appreciate you. Thanks. I'll have a look at MetaMask. Just be mindful, don't leave it signed in, etc., etc. I send you a pic of it. It's on Coinbase. The pre-sale is on Coinbase. Yeah. Hold on a minute. Let me bring this. Have you sent it on X? I'm just going to say this out loud, by the way. I don't like the new X chat feature. It's awful. It's annoying. Like super annoying. Oh, there we go. Crypto Puppet. Yeah, Monad, that's it. Yeah. Does it say what's already gone so far or not? Monad layer 1 blockchain aiming to deliver breakthrough speed. So the project I'm going to talk about is building on Monad. But yeah, this is essentially a Jupiter new layer 1 blockchain basically. What's interesting about this one is Coinbase is supporting it. So, how does a ledger work? What does it cost? And is it easy to use? May you explain? So, a ledger works by being a cold wallet. So, basically, it's only ever accessible if you're actually connected to a computer. It's like a USB stick. And it's relatively easy to use. But at the same time, you need to make sure that you record your seed phrases and all that. Keep them very secure. And it's lots of fiddly buttons and stuff. So, you can't do transactions unless it's plugged in and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, generally speaking, they are only accessible once connected to your computer. So price is 0.025. Yeah. Monad public sale. That's right. Yeah. On Coinbase. I don't know if it's going to bring it up, actually. In fact, let me just do that in case it brings my email address up. Jesus Christ. Yeah, see, it wants to do... I can't sign into Coinbase. How can I confirm your passkey? Oh my god. I can't do it. I can't do it because it won't let me go in. But yeah, essentially, maybe I can actually. Oh, hold on a minute. TikTok, I'll be back in 1 sec. Just don't go anywhere. 1 sec. There we go. I'm back. I am back. So so here is Coinbase. Here is the Monad pre-sale. So you can request here, look. So request more with Coinbase One. I've got no USDC sat in Coinbase right now. So, but yeah, this essentially is where you can get it. So the maximum request is 100,000 USDC. Minimum request is 100 USDC. And yeah, the only thing is I don't know how much they've actually used. Insufficient USDC. That's annoying, isn't it? That's annoying. So sale announcement. Sale closes on the 25th. But we don't know actually how much has gone so far. But I assume they'll close it once it gets to that number. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Go ETH. Yeah, hopefully Fairground. Hopefully. But yeah, anyway, that gives you an idea there of Monad. Again, do your own research into it, definitely. But again, I'm going to have a project that I'm going to talk about that is building on Monad. So yeah, it looks like a cool project. I met the team. I was chatting to the team last night. It looks great, actually. It looks really cool, the project. So hopefully that's going to be a good news story. And yeah, that launched on Saturday as well. So we'll see. We'll see. Do you know where it's going to launch, Solanix? I do not know. Tipperary, I don't know. Jasmine's hanging on by a thread. Yeah, I haven't sold any of my Jasmine. I was close to, but there's a couple of coins that have got to such a point now where I'm a bit like, kind of feels a bit silly to sell it. You know, like if they're down to like $500, you're like, ugh. 88.83 million requested so far of what, 7.5 billion? Oh, that's not going to sell out then, is it? Is that right? Yeah, 7.5 billion is the total supply. 100 billion is the actual total. So 88.3 million. Okay, cool. That's all right. That's all right for the day one. That doesn't mean I have to like super panic about getting into it. But yeah, I think it could be good. And I think the fact Coinbase are backing it tells me there's probably going to be some pretty big money behind it. So, you know, is it worth an $100 punt? Maybe. Maybe. I heard Ledger was vulnerable to software updates. I mean, I've never experienced it. There was a rumor that there was a backdoor access to it, but I mean, I've never really kind of seen a bit of a problem with it personally. But equally, you could look at a Trezor or a Tangam wallet. Both of those two are pretty good as well. So all depends on what you want. Joe Bros is about to bounce. Yeah, I just had a look at the price of BTC. I mean, I don't think it's going to bounce on the daily though. We've got a fucking 2.5% to go. It's a long way, but I mean, ETH back above 3,000. We need a bit more of a move. I did good with Jasmine. My 500 investment became 3,500. I sold. Bullish crypto puppet. That's the way I play the game. That is the way to play the game. Take those profits, baby, and run for the hills. So, total available 187.5 million. Are you sure? That's not right, is it? It says 7.5 billion here. Total reserve for the public sale. Sale is for 7.5 the total supply. Participants can bid up to 100k. Details in the blog. So decentralization is the only possibility. Widely distributed on it. Blah, 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 blah. Coinbase token sale platform brings public sales to retail. Okay, fine. At the launch of Monad, public mainnet, the initial supply of Monad will be 100 billion tokens. Up to 7.5 billion Mon tokens will be made available to the public for purchasing the public sale at a price of 0.025. The Coinbase token sales platform accommodates a maximum bid size of $100 and a minimum. So yeah, that's $500. You could 10x in BTC from the next bottom, maybe. That 187 million feels a bit weird though. Why is I don't know if that's right. I mean, it definitely doesn't look like it is, but I mean, maybe I'm just reading it wrong, but yeah. Anyway, DYOR on this one, definitely worthwhile. Like I said, a lot of people are talking about it, and then I will have a bit more on the project that I'm going to be talking about come Wednesday. I'll have a video, and we'll probably talk about it in the live stream, but yeah, could be cool. If I was to say to you that it could be the next Asta or Monad, then might be good. Again, DYOR, not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy it. We'll talk about it. Take your own opinion. And could be good news. But boy, man, we have been live for a long time. Look at that. 1 hour, 20 minutes. Totally flew by this stream. Totally flew by. I mean, Jesus Christ. Feels like we only started 2 minutes ago. So, yeah, I mean, that's where we are. Bitcoin right now certainly is in a macro downtrend. Is the bull market finished? Maybe. Is there potential for a rebound? Potentially. Do you do any one-to-one Zooms or anything where you can advise exit strategy and safe storage? No, but I have a free Discord in which you can get in there. And if you've got any specific questions, then by all means, I will definitely try and answer them. Equally, ask them here on the live stream. I don't believe in one-to-one bullshit, Zooms, calls. What I would say is you've got a community here that genuinely wants everyone to win. So if there's anything on your mind, please be mindful of scammers. And there's a couple in the Discord earlier that I caught, by the way, and yeeted them out. People trying to sell trading courses and all sorts of kind of crazy shit. They got yeeted big time, actually. So, but yeah, worth noting. But yeah, join our free Discord. It is absolutely worth it, in my opinion. And if you do have any specific, any specific concerns, then, we'll try and answer them the best we can. Equally, if you want to get access to our premium Discord, become a channel member. You probably get way more access to me as a premium Discord member, but again, you don't have to. You don't have to. We will struggle at 98, then pop to 106. We're below 98k. What are you talking about? But yeah, that is where I get to. I'm just seeing who else is in here. There's one feed. You're in there. Bullish on you, mate. Let me take your unverified tag off. Anyone that's got like a crap name though just gets yeeted out of here. Ban. Oh, actually kick. If you've got like a weird name, you just get yeeted out. Can't be arsed for you. Thanks for the live tube. I'll be watching your live more. I've got more time now. New job. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Like I said, if you did enjoy the content, then don't forget, smash up the like button to a brand new all-time high. And always, always drop a like on it. It supports the channel massively. And interestingly enough, 67 of you believe that 2026 is going to be the top of the bull market. Like I said before, I hope 100% you are right. Fingers crossed. Why has someone sent me a message saying, "Sup, bro? Sorry for barging in on your DMs. How is your business going so far? And are you planning to get started?" What? Ignore. Adios, senor. See you later, alligator. And then get rid of that as well. All right, cool. Right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow night as always, 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. here in the UK. If you aren't already dialed in, make sure you hit the like button. Ta-da! Anyway, on that bombshell, we'll be back tomorrow night, hopefully with some more positive news. Look out, follow me on social media, make sure you're in the Discord, all that good stuff. And look out for the notification that we're going to be going live once again. I will have some content, remember, 11:30 Bitcoin macroeconomic update video, followed by about 3:30 to 4 o'clock XRP video updates. Look out for a couple of shorts coming out later. We appreciate your support as always. Thank you so much, everybody. Catch you tomorrow. You massive set of legends. See you in a bit.